NHL Network. Okay. NHL Network. Okay. I've got it on mute. Don't worry. Don't worry, everybody. We're live. Ron and myself, we are going to, and Brandis, whenever she arrives, we're going to break down bubble teams in the NFL. And since we've got so many teams to get to, I'm not even going to waste any more time. I'm just going to jump straight into this.
Yeah, man.
Straight into the bubble teams here because there's just a lot to get to. And I'm going to start with the AFC North. I don't really consider the Bengals a bubble team, but considering they missed the playoffs last year, I guess they qualify as a bubble team.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really consider them that because I think they do have one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. They got a lot of weapons, but the defense, they got to fix a lot of stuff under Al Golden, former Notre Dame defensive coordinator. And they do have a manageable schedule. But what's interesting is they usually struggle early in the season and get hot late. But their early schedule's a lot easier than it's been in previous years, and their end game schedules is what's brutal this time around.
Yeah, and it didn't help that there was some injuries at the end of last year as well, too. I think that really hindered what they were trying to do as far as what the Bengals are going to do. Look, everything is going to go on the arm of the quarterback. If he does well and they're able to spread the ball around like they were able to do, 2-3 seasons ago, where they were, making the playoffs on a regular. Okay. All right. I'll agree with that. Bengals as a bubble team, I would agree with that. They're probably going to be right
10-7,
there,
getting the 6th seed. But the thing is, if their defense is as bad as it was last year, they could be on the outside looking in once again.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at with the Bengals. You know what I mean? I just don't have that good feeling about their defense as far as has it improved? You know what I mean? Have they done the things that they need to do to get better, to give more support to the offense? You know what I mean? So, all right, I'll give the Bengals.
Huge brawl broke out at practice today between rookie Shamar Stewart and center Ted Karras after Stewart nearly he charged at Joe Burrow in a drill. So, and I know he was the longest player to have a holdout among the first round picks this year. So,
yeah, and that's the other thing too, man. You don't want to be doing that to Joe Burrow.
No.
No. So
let's get to your Steelers. I think we agree the Browns are going to be in a rebuild regardless of what they do. So let's get to this. Let's get to my hometown city and your favorite NFL team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the next bubble team on this list.
Yeah, all day long. I agree with that. There's a very aging veteran who's now playing quarterback for them. I'm hopeful that we get to see 5 games out of him. Hopeful, fingers crossed. If we get 5 games, hey man, we're in the win. Okay. But I agree. I don't think you're going to see Pittsburgh being anywhere anything better than what they were the last 2 years. They barely squeaked into the playoffs last year. I don't think they're going to be able to make it this year. With the quarterback situation and what they did on defense, they didn't really make the defense any better. They got rid of Minka Fitzpatrick and they brought in Jalen Ramsey. Well, okay, they brought in Darius Slay as well to be on the other side. Then you team that up with Joey Porter Jr. and you're hoping that you got enough talent on the back end. You need to blitz more on third downs for the Steelers. And you got a lot of questions at offense. You got a rookie running back backing up Jalen Warren, and you got an old man back here playing quarterback. And DK Metcalf, is he going to mesh? How is the rest of the wide receiver rooms going to be? All right, bubble team.
I agree. I mean, they were 10-7 last year, I believe. I think right now their floor is probably 7-10. Their ceiling's 9-8, and maybe they push for the last wild card spot.
Yeah,
but it's not a definitive. They're going to get in for sure. It's a maybe. There if they're lucky. and I've got them at 8-9 at the moment. But I think they can go 9-8. It just depends on how can they get a couple of big wins against some
Can they?
opponents.
Yeah. Can the Aaron Rodgers experiment get better? Can they win a couple games? Fingers crossed. If he lasts more than 5 or 6 games, then hey, that's a bonus anyway. So I think you're going to see probably the Ravens win the division this
Yeah.
year.
I would be in agreement with that. I do have the Ravens winning the AFC North as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Not going to reveal too much else. We'll get to the AFC South. I think there's maybe 2 bubble teams in this division, and I'm not even sure if either the Jaguars or the Colts qualifies as a bubble team. I think best case scenario, the Jags go 9-8, but they don't get in the playoffs. That's the best case scenario for them. The best case scenario for the Colts is 8-9, but that's only if Richardson plays all 17 games. If Jones plays a single game, they could be 4-13, 5-12. So I'm not even sure if these are bubble teams or if these are just filler teams. I think you'd agree with me, Ron. These teams might be closer to filler teams versus bubble teams.
I would have to agree with you both on the Jaguars because I don't think you're going to see Jaguars even remotely sniffing anything close to a playoffs or even close to the bubble this year. And with the Colts and their other quarterback situation as well, with the health and availability of their starting quarterback, and then with Jones being the backup, that does not give me the warm fuzzies. As far as I'm concerned,
I don't blame you. I was at Colts camp a few weeks ago, and
see, there you go. You got the inside track.
It was very dire.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So you had the inside track, right? You got to see the Colts. So that's awesome, man. That you got to go do that. So,
Yep.
All right. Well,
AFC East, there might be a few bubble teams in this division. I weeded out the Jets. I weeded out the Jets as a bubble team. I think there might be 2 bubble teams in this division. We've got the Dolphins and the Patriots. The Dolphins, they do have Tua, and they have a bunch of weapons with Hill and Waddle, but they do have some injuries on the secondary at corner, particularly. They got Minka from the Steelers, but they do have some injuries at corner. And it's just a very dicey situation with their cornerback room in Miami. And I think that's ultimately going to be what keeps them out. But if Tua and their playmakers stay healthy, if Bradley Chubb comes back from his injury, they have a chance. I don't think they have a very good chance, though.
see, I think you said it right there. If Tua and company can stay healthy and stay on the field, when they're on the field all together, right? They're a pretty good force of team.
Yeah.
Okay. But with the availability of these players, it being very suspect over the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, when their edge rushers are healthy, whether it's Jalen Roberts, Bradley Chubb, and they have Hill and Waddle and 2 on the field, they're one of the best teams in the league. The problem,
like I said, when everybody's healthy,
yeah,
but
they already have 4 or 5 corners injured, and they traded Jalen Ramsey to Pittsburgh, which doesn't help their case.
See, that's what I understand. It didn't make the Dolphins any better by getting rid of Jalen Ramsey, and it didn't make the Steelers any better by getting rid of Minka Fitzpatrick. I mean, I'm scratching my head on that.
Brandis, what do you think so far? We've previewed every team in the AFC for bubble teams, from the Bengals to the Steelers to the Jags to the Texans. We're on the Dolphins. We're about to get to the Patriots, but I'll put the Patriots on hold for a second. Sorry, Brady fans. Sorry, Belichick fans. We're putting your franchise on hold. I want to get Brandis' thoughts on some of the earlier teams Ron and I discussed for bubble teams this season in the NFL. Is everything working on your end camera-wise, Brandis? All right. I'll give her a few minutes to get set up, and then she can chime in. I'm going to get to the Patriots. And the Patriots are my wild card 1 at the moment. I think it's because their strength of schedule. The Patriots this year just have a ridiculously easy strength of schedule, and everything's clicking for their defense. Everything's clicking for their offense. They look like they got their they got Drake May as blindside and Will Campbell. Trevian Henderson's been fantastic, not just in preseason, but in the practices as well.
So, hi, Brandis. How you doing? I'm Ron. Nice to meet you. Can you hear us?
Hi.
All right.
So, whenever you're ready to talk about some of these teams, Brandis, I'll give you the floor to do that.
I'm not sure if you can hear me. I'm not sure what's going on.
I can hear you. It's just the camera visuals are kind of choppy, but I can hear you perfectly. Chargers and Broncos are the final two AFC bubble teams. Do you have? I think the Chargers are interesting because they have the talent to be the last wild card. They have a top 5 QB, but their left tackle Rashawn Slater suffered a season-ending injury. Joe Alt's moving over to the left side. They lost most of the Bills. I could see them getting in, but I could also see them taking a step back with this adjustment. It'll be interesting, but I definitely think they're closer to a bubble team now than a surefire wild card prior to that injury.
I agree. Even with the addition of Najee Harris, giving them a better
running back over Dobbins, and they got O'Marion Hampton in the first round of the draft too.
So that's the other thing too. So they got a pretty nice little thunder and lightning going on there for the running game, and I think that's really going to help out the Chargers, and it's going to take some of the pressure off of Herbert because they need to, because he just can't be the main man and shoulder that. He needs some weapons around him. He needs to be able to have people to deliver the ball to and help him, matriculate the ball down the field. So as far as the Broncos, man, it's the Bo Nix show, I guess we're going to go with. Yep. And they seem like they could potentially be on the bubble. They seem like they might be one of those teams where last year wasn't quite where they wanted to be. And I think they've done some improvements. So we'll see how they go. But honestly, I'm not sure.
Broncos do have a tough schedule. I have them at 7-10, but if they steal a few games, they could go 9-8. They could enter this conversation and do something.
Okay, see, there you go. If they do, see, that's the big if, right? You got to remain healthy and everything else like that. So did they do enough? Did they draft enough talent? Did they do enough in the offseason to improve their team? That's what we're going to find out. I'm thinking they're still maybe a year or two away. As far as that,
they got in last year partially due to the easy strength of schedule and partially due to the fact that Bo Nix had a really high floor. I think more teams are going to have more film on Nix, and there's going to be some adjustments in year 2 that Nix is going to have to make if the Broncos want to return to the playoffs.
If he plays well, they potentially have the opportunity to be that bubble team and be one of those potentially final wild card teams.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Okay, cool.
NFC North division.
Wait. I know we were going to try to talk to Brandon, so we didn't talk about the Patriots. And did you say that you have them?
I mentioned Drake May, Will Campbell didn't give up any sacks. Trevian Henderson, their defense looks really good. I mentioned the Patriots, but I guess I went by so fast. I'll give you a second to
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry. Yeah. I just wanted to mention about the addition of Vrabel up there in Patriot land.
He's a tone setter, former Patriot himself under Belichick, and look what he did with the
now
Titans.
A head coach who had really good success when he coached for the Titans. And frankly, excuse me, I'm sorry. I don't think he should have been fired from the Titans. I don't think he was the reason why they were losing. Excuse me.
No worries. I agree with that. I mean, the Titans, bad ownership decisions and bad general management by John Robinson are the reason the Titans had their exodus.
Yeah, right. So, but Vrabel now up in New England, and now with a quarterback now that he can have and do, because that's what he had in Tennessee. He had Tannehill when he got there. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And he was a
AJ
pretty
Brown, Derrick Henry, both on
right,
rookie deals.
right, and a pretty decent defense. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And
Jeffrey
I
Simmons.
that's kind of how I feel about the Patriots. I feel like the Patriots have always just kind of had some talent, but they've just lacked coaching over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
And I think that the message was getting old with Belichick.
I agree with that. The message Belichick was outdated, and you could tell, even though he was passionate about the game, the players just weren't buying what he was trying to send the team.
Exactly. Exactly. You know what I mean? And so that's where I think the downfall went. Okay. So
And for
sorry, I
the
didn't mean to cut in on the Patriots.
no worries. I appreciate that. You added some much better insight to the Vrabel segment, but yeah, the Patriots outside of the Bills and maybe some of these other opponents, their schedule just isn't that bad this year. It's probably the easiest strength of schedule in the entire AFC. I mean, only teams with easier strength of schedules are the Saints and 49ers. But NFC bubble teams, I included too, the Packers and the Bears. The Vikings could very easily be in that conversation. It just depends on what quarterback steps up, whether it's Jordan Love, whether it's Caleb Williams, or whether it's J.J. McCarthy. So, yeah.
From what I've seen from JJ McCarthy in Vikings, in Vikings camp, he's looked really good. And of that group, I've never been much of a fan of Love for the Packers, even though I know they made the playoffs, and have done pretty well as of late. But I've never been a big fan of his. I just feel he's more of a system guy. It's just my opinion. Um, the Packers, I think they're more of a bubble team than the Bears. I really just don't see the Bears um being anywhere close to a. I think they're still maybe a couple years away from what they're trying to do there in
Yeah.
Chicago. You know what I mean?
Still
But
need
I
another
guess
defensive end, still need another running back. And it doesn't help that Keenan Allen basically said the reason I didn't re-sign with the Bears is because I think Caleb Williams is a selfish teammate. You don't want that stigma on you when you're the number one pick in the draft and you got other quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels and Drake May who've shown more promise than you. Even though Caleb did show a lot of promise his rookie year, those other QBs I would argue showed a little bit more.
I
The
agree.
opponents too, maybe.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's an excellent point. I think that's an excellent point, and I agree with that 100%. So the other one you got on here, what was the other team you had mentioned in there? It was the Bears, the Packers. Who else was the other one?
I threw in the Vikings. They weren't initially on the
Yeah,
list, but they could be a team that does surprise people because they have the weapons to get to the playoffs. It just comes down to
yeah,
how McCarthy performs.
yeah, and how that defense is going to fly with them.
Agreed.
Okay, if they have some kind of semblance of defense and McCarthy plays well, I think you're going to see the Vikings potentially be that seventh seed, or be that bubble team, or on the cusp of. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
So
agree.
okay, cool.
The NFC South, I basically put every team in here except the Saints because their quarterback situation's just a mess right now. But this division is probably the most wide open division of all of them. I mean, you've got Atlanta, who came close last year, actually swept Tampa in the regular season with Michael Penix entering year two, first year as a full-time starter. You got Bryce Young, and you've got Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers, who've won this division every year, I think, since Tom Brady arrived in Tampa. So it's going to be interesting for sure to see what happens in the NFC South.
I don't really. I would. I think I would put the Packers, or I'm sorry, the Buccaneers, more of the bubble team, with now this being Baker's second year now with Tampa, or
This is,
third
I think, his third year actually,
third
but
year.
second winning the division.
Right. Okay.
I think the Buccaneers, if we were to make a case which team deserves to be exiled from this list, I think Tampa would have the strongest argument.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that 100%. I think, and in fact, I think you can take the Panthers off of the list too, because I don't think they're even going to be close. Even
Really?
though, yeah, I'm just not. I think they're still maybe a year or two away.
I
They're
like the edge
starting to
rushers
put
they
pieces in
draft.
place, right? They're starting to put pieces in place, and gonna get a good look at them here in about 2 weeks, right? Because they're playing the last preseason game is the Panthers versus the Steelers.
Yeah, they played the Browns. I saw them against the Browns on Friday. Their edge rushers that they drafted, Umani and Scorton, looked good.
Right.
And I'm kind of
Like I
curious
said, they're
to see what
starting
they
to
do.
get pieces.
I've got the Panthers playing the Buccaneers for the NFC South Division in Week 18 in Tampa. So,
Okay.
yeah,
I mean,
I have
I'm
both
not going to
teams
disagree
tied
with
for
that.
the same record. And whoever wins that game in Tampa, which will most likely be the Buccaneers, wins the NFC South. That's kind of what I have right now.
Okay. I'm not going to
change.
disagree with that. No, I think that's pretty good, man. I'm not going to disagree with that at all.
So I have the Panthers missing the playoffs, but they get to 8. But they get to 8 and 9, and they lose to Tampa Bay in the final week of the season, and the Bucs repeat as division champs.
Okay, but like I said, that still makes them a year away.
Yeah, I agree. They're still in the conversation. If they're playing for the division in Week 18, you could argue they're a bubble team, even if they don't get in. The odds are they're not going to get in. That's
not going to argue with that at all. That's perfectly said. Perfectly said. Not going to argue with that at all. That's perfectly said.
What bubble teams do we have in the NFC East? We have the Commanders. We both agree the Giants and Cowboys are going to be awful this year, and the Eagles and Commanders are going to be the top two once again. I don't think there's a lot that needs to be said about this division.
That's pretty simple, right? That's pretty cut and dry. I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see the Commanders be a bit improved over what they were last year. I have that kind of. They're very well coached now. They put a lot of pieces together there. They did an amazing job last year and made the playoffs, and they played what in the championship game against the Eagles, right? So I mean, I definitely see this team taking another step and potentially repeating as going back to the championship game, and probably even against the Eagles, I would even say.
Yeah, we could very well get a Commanders-Eagles rematch. That would be fun.
Yeah. Cardinals.
Eagles, Commanders. The next bubble teams are the Cardinals, 49ers, and Rams. I have all three of these teams at 10 and 7. NFC West is very wide open. The Niners have the easiest strength of schedule in the league. The Cardinals have improved a lot on both sides of the ball since the 2025 draft. And the Rams are still, I think, the team to beat as long as Stafford's healthy. But if Stafford does miss any time with that herniated disc injury, then it gets a little bit dicier for the Rams, and it gives the Cardinals and 49ers both an opportunity to separate.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's exactly what I was going to say about the Rams and Stafford with that potential injury keeping him out of the lineup for some significant amount of time. And I think that really, really hampers the Rams' chances. And I can see now why you would have them as a bubble team, because if he misses some time, that puts them down, that drops him down, you know what I mean? And so, okay, I agree with that. 49ers, man, I tell you, if all those guys can stay healthy at the same time for another season, look at what they can do when they were all healthy and played previously. Yeah, they made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think the Niners are a complete team on paper like when they made the Super Bowl 2 years ago. At the same token, they have the league's easiest strength of schedule. If their core guys, Brock Purdy, Trent Williams, left tackle, McCaffrey, Kittle, if those guys stay healthy and the defense shows up and the defense stays healthy too, I think they can win enough games to get into the playoffs. Maybe even win the division. Maybe win a wild card game and get to the divisional round. But I think that's probably their ceiling, the divisional round. Because I think there's teams in the NFC East like the Eagles and Commanders on paper. Although if the Niners had home field against the Commanders, I would give them a chance against the Commanders. That just comes down to who has home field, who's got momentum, stuff like that. I think the Buccaneers match up well against San Francisco as far as the offense goes with Baker Mayfield. Maybe not the defense, but the offense matches up very well with San Francisco.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Yeah.
The Lions, I think, would beat the 49ers if they got a chance to have a rematch of the NFC Championship where the 49ers beat Detroit. So I think there's a few teams that could beat the 49ers straight up, but everything else is fair game. And if the Niners were to return to the Super Bowl, they would need the Eagles, Commanders, and Lions to all lose and to avoid playing any of those teams en route to a Super Bowl run. And I just don't think that's in the cards.
I would have to agree with you on that 100%. And I absolutely think that Detroit is going to be more of a team to reckon with this year.
Yeah.
I just have that feeling about them as far as where they're going to be, what they've been doing the last 3 seasons there now in Detroit. I mean, the fact that we're even talking about Detroit not being a bubble team, where we're talking about Detroit being a playoff team, I mean, that in of itself is miles ahead of where they ever were as far as Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's the thing. They've sort of built a culture of sustained success. We saw the Red Wings do it in the 90s with Ken Holland and Jim Nill. We saw the Pistons do it with Joe Dumars.
Yep.
Now the Lions are doing it. Now they're building that culture of sustained success. I mean, the Tigers even had a little bit of mojo when Jim Leland was there. So
yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with that at all. I think that's a great point, that bringing that winning culture there in Detroit, and it all stems from their coach, who I think is one of the greatest things for the league, is a coach like that. Okay, because when you see a guy that has that much fire and that much passion and is not afraid to show it, you know what I mean? I can definitely relate to that guy. You know what I mean? Because I wear it on my sleeve too. Okay, and I call it like I see it as well. Sometimes to a fault, I guess, but but it is what it is. You know what I mean? So I like I like the little conversation here, man. These were really good conversations about some of these bubble teams here, or some teams that we thought would be bubble teams, or that we think they're going to be bubble teams. Either way you slice it, I think we're going to see some repeat of what we saw last year.
We're going to see some repeats. We're going to see some parity. It's going to be a fun season.
I agree. I'm very excited about this season. There's going to be new kickoff rules are going to be put in place again. Okay, so now instead of just kicking it out of the end zone, now you actually have to try to hey, they realized that kicking the ball out of the end zone was really not a good idea. I mean, when you take the return game away, well, why even bother doing it? Why don't you just put the ball on the 35-yard line and start from there and skip the whole thing?
Yeah, I don't think these changes are going away anytime soon. In fact, in 5 years from now, I bet we have kickoffs starting from the 40-yard line. I bet that's where we're heading next.
Why? That's stupid.
Because the league loves offense and they want to sell the heck out of offense. Okay, Williams, I got William on the phone. Hey, what's going on, William? How are you doing?
Hello, hey, this is Susie, his mom.
Sorry, I didn't know.
Anyway, so we were going to try to have a show here with William, and then we tried to have a show here with Brandis, but unfortunately that didn't work out. So we're having a show with me and Chris, and we were talking about the bubble teams for the AFC and the NFC. And I got to be honest with you here, folks. going to be an
yeah,
exciting
get better,
season.
William.
I'm excited about what kind of football we're going to see. I'm excited about how the draft players are going to show out this year. So, the next crop is coming in. And so we're going to see who's going to be, the rookie of the year, who's going to win the quarterback and all that stuff. So, hey, everything okay over there, Chris?
Yeah, it's just William, I hope you get better, man. I think he's got like a flu or something similar to what I had,
Oh,
but
no.
I just hope he gets better.
Oh, no. Okay.
That's what the phone call was
Oh,
about.
man.
But
Well, man, dude, hope you get better. Okay. Next time.
and when you do get better, we will try to get you and Ron to do an interview because that was what we were looking forward to, man.
We'll have
So,
another set
yeah.
of topics to talk about.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff, and I know William does shows regularly on Under the Bleachers, but yeah, that's Ron Mont. You can find him at Steel Flyers, and he's got a new site that's going to be launching very soon, and we will talk about that when it launches.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm Chris Ransom, and I've got another show to do. And I don't know if the audio or technical stuff will be recording, but I know Ron's got some stuff he's got to do, and I've got some stuff. So we'll catch you guys
Thanks,
later.
everybody.
Enjoy.